I'm Jim Gordon, and it's my pleasure to be back here in the studio at the Richmond Sentinel office here in Richmond. I'm back again this year to host a special segment on the upcoming federal election. The city of Richmond is divided into two ridings, Richmond Centre and the Steveston-Richmond East, resulting in sending two members of Parliament to Ottawa. Now, we have invited all 10 candidates and offer this as a platform, as a stage, to let you see and hear these candidates, who they are, and why they want to go to Ottawa as a member of Parliament. Every candidate that accepted our invitation will be given the same questions: why they're running, and what they see as the most important issues facing the residents of Richmond. Let's get right to this new federal election and the candidates right here at the Richmond Sentinel. Well, we go from the Steveston-Richmond East riding to Richmond Centre riding, and starting off this area is the current representative from that riding. It's Conservative MP Alice Wong, who is running for re-election, of course. Alice, welcome.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Okay, we're asking everybody the same three questions. Let's start with a little background and introduction to our readers and our viewers on who you are.
I'm Alice Wong. I've been Member of Parliament since 2008. At that time it was called Richmond and now Richmond Centre. So for the past 12 years, I have been very privileged to be able to serve this riding. And during my time in the Parliament, I have had the privilege of serving under Prime Minister Stephen Harper, and in 2008, and then in 2011. And I was then appointed to be the Minister responsible for seniors, the Minister of State for Seniors. And after that, in 2015, of course, the Conservative was defeated, and then the Liberal government. So then we were in opposition. So I've been serving as an opposition member since then. And then, of course, I was re-elected in 2019, and now I'm asking the voters to send me back to Ottawa for the 5th time. So during this time, I've been working hard not only to bring more funding to the Richmond Centre, and also looking after the needs of our constituents. Like a lot of them have challenges regarding visa application, OH security, and other federal-related programs. So I'm very proud to say that my office has been working very effectively. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank my frontline staffers. So here I am asking the voters again to send me back to Ottawa. Now, this is an election that should not really be happening at all, because this is during pandemic time, and so I have been taking extra precaution even in my own campaign office. So everybody who comes in needs to be vaccinated, and then we even have a rapid testing kit ready for anyone who hasn't had a shot. So here I am asking you for the 5th time to send me back to Ottawa.
And Alice, you obviously know the lay of the land, because you, as you mentioned, have been there since 2008. Were you to return to Ottawa? Talk a bit about work that you still want to see completed. You talk about your riding and more funding for things. Let's talk a bit about what you feel is most important and in most need of attention in Richmond Centre.
Well, okay, I've been door knocking ever since. Even before the rate drops, I was listening to a lot of my voters, because I sent them newsletters and they wrote me back. And what I've been hearing is people are very much concerned about the economic recovery. Pandemic has put a lot of people out of work. So my major, purpose going back is to make sure that jobs will be created. I have parents talking to me saying that their kids graduated and they don't have a job, and also graduates telling me, Auntie Alice, I can't find a job. What can I do? So this is number one. I wanted to make sure that jobs are there for them. Of course, the second one will be our healthcare. Because of the pandemic, and we wanted to make sure that funding is there. So once the Conservative get back to government, we will increase the transfer to provinces from 3% to 6% increase every year. And also mental wellness is very important. We have a lot of people who, because of pandemic, they either die in loneliness or die of loneliness. Mm-hmm. So this is something close to my heart. Another thing I like to work is to work for the carers, caring for the carers, because we had a lot of people who've been doing a lot of work for their own parents, their own kids, and looking even after their own parents and grandparents. So we wanted to make sure that employers will understand why these very productive employees do not want a promotion. There's a great loss of productivity, and a lot of them are women. And I had the privilege of serving in the women's committee, so I heard loud and clear why they really wanted support for them. So those will be a few things I will be looking at. Of course, security, because we all heard about the YVR shooting. So we wanted to make sure that guns are controlled, and then also at the same time, we will really stop guns from smuggling across the borders. So because illegal people who committed gun crimes do not use legally purchased guns. So, and also gang activities. I will look very carefully at the cause of why young people get themselves involved in gang activities. So let's go back to the root, so that they will be we will be able to look at how we can support these young people and get them off the gangs. So these will be some of the things I would like to do once I get re-elected.
She is Alice Wong, running for re-election, as she mentioned, in Richmond Centre for the Conservative Party. Alice, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, our next candidate in the Richmond Centre riding is the representative from the Liberal Party, Wilson Yao. Wilson, thanks for joining us.
Hello, Jim. Thanks for having me.
You're quite welcome. Okay, as we've been mentioning, same three questions for everybody. Let's start with a little bit of a background for our viewers on you.
Sure. So my name is Wilson Miao. I actually moved here to Canada when I was 10 with my family. And ever since then, I've been living in Richmond for the past 25 years. So I studied my elementary here at Ferris Elementary and at Richmond Secondary High School before I moved forward to Simon Fraser University.
Let's talk a bit about why you are running for MP to represent Richmond Centre.
Well, I feel after living here for so long, and I noticed our community has been growing quite a lot ever since I moved here. And throughout my growth, I noticed a change that happened to Richmond. And I feel there's much more we can do to make a better improvement for our community. And that is one reason why I want to come out and represent the people in my riding to speak out for them and bring the voice to Ottawa. And at the same time, I feel like the reason why I picked Liberal, along with all the parties option out there, is because over the time that I lived in Canada, I see the Liberal Party doing a lot more for all Canadians. And at the same time, I really like the way how Pierre Trudeau have came up with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to protect all Canadians, including myself being part of that. So I feel that is something that I would uphold, and I would want to share this message to all Canadians, say we have a responsibility to make a change in our country, and that's why I'm putting myself up to run for this office.
Let's talk a bit, as we were asking everybody today, about what you feel is the most important issue or issues in Richmond Centre, but also Richmond as a whole, as a city. As you mentioned, it's an always growing city. COVID, of course, has taken up a lot of time, rightly so, but what are you seeing out there that's important to you that you think needs attention right now in your riding and your city?
There's a few issues that I feel that it's more important to our riding. One being our safety of the community. In the past 18 months, it's sad to see that we are experiencing one of the first pandemic that affect the whole world. And a lot of people I know, and I know a lot of people in this communities got affected by that. At the same time, I know there's a lot of information that's being disinformed by many platforms that we need to identify them to make sure the right message is shared across the community so that people won't be feel fear or isolated during the pandemic. And especially with the gun crime and racist crime that's happening right now, this is completely against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We should be engaging as a community and feel united as a whole so that we can bring a stronger and safer community to everyone. And the other issue that I really advocate for is our climate change. Because being one of the younger candidates in this election, I know this issue is real. And throughout the past 5-10 years, I noticed a huge change to our environment, especially with all the wildfires that's happening to BC interior in the past few summers. And it's getting worse and worse. And if we don't address this, then this is not going to be fair to our next generation and the generation to come. So I feel it's important for us to identify the real issue of climate change and really address it and work towards it, like what the Liberal government is bringing in their platform. And last but not least, I feel our seniors and youth in our community really needs the attention, not just because they have done what they have done to our community, but at the same time we should care more for them. For example, providing a more affordable retirement for our seniors. And including our youth, we should providing more opportunity so that they can grow their experience to enter into their career path and help with our growth of the economy. That is why I feel like there's many parts of our platform, the Liberal platform that was released on September 1st. I highly encourage everyone to go read it. It's under liberal.ca/platform. I feel out of all the platform from different parties, the Liberal platform really defined itself. It's a very comprehensive plan with cost analysis and a real plan to bring all Canadians moving forward. And apart from that, I feel if I have the opportunity to be elected, there's more work to be done, and it's not the only issues that I mentioned above.
He is running for Liberal seat, I should say Liberal candidate he is Wilson Meow from the Richmond Centre. We thank you for coming in. We know how busy and everything everybody is right now.
Yes.
Thank you, Wilson.
Thank you very much.
Our next candidate to join us in the Richmond Centre riding is Sandra Nixon. She is NDP candidate here. And welcome, Sandra.
Thank you very much.
Same three questions for everybody. First question for you. Tell our readers, our viewers, a bit about yourself.
Great, thank you. Well, I'm originally from the prairies. I moved to the West Coast about 30 years ago now. I've been living and raising a family in Richmond for the past 20 years. I wear a number of hats and have a number of roles. I'm a United Church of Canada minister. I've been an ordained minister for the past 15 years and have been with a social justice focused congregation for the past 11 years. I've also am a school trustee here in Richmond, in the Richmond Board of Education, and this is my second term as a trustee. I am also, a couple things I would maybe like folks to know about me. I am a housing co-op member and a housing advocate. I also am an EV, that's electric vehicle owner, and an EV advocate. And finally, not last but not least, I am a parent of two wonderful kids who are feeling some angst about making their way into the world as young adults in light of this pandemic.
Well, you talked a bit about your history, but often I find that this history ties in with why you're running, and we'll get to the issues after that. But let's talk a bit about why you were running for MP in this election.
Absolutely. So I think that the past 18 months, as we've gone through the pandemic, have really confronted us with a number of critical issues, which these are issues that aren't new, but I think we've been experiencing much more directly as we've experienced this pandemic, something we've never gone through before. And a number of things that have come to light, things like our climate emergency. I think we all saw this summer, we were faced directly with the impacts, some of the impacts of that. The fact that it's real and happening now, and the effects of global warming aren't something that we need to worry about or leave to another generation to worry about. That's front and center. And a number of other issues such as racism in our community, in our society, affordability, and I have a number of conversations about that. And so we're needing to talk about these issues, and we're needing to really prioritize, I think, the well-being of people and our planet. And I don't see that this has been the priority of the government till now. I think we need people in Parliament who are going to speak up and show up for these concerns, for the way that this is impacting people in Richmond. And I want to lend my voice to that and do what I can to make sure that these priorities are the ones that government's taking serious action on.
Last question, and you've answered part of it talking about climate change. For Richmond and your specific riding, but the city as a whole, can you talk a bit about some of the other issues that are important to you, issues that need to be addressed by this ever-growing city?
Absolutely. So during this campaign, I've been door knocking, and a couple of conversations are really sticking with me. One is a young woman who told me that she is crashing with friends right now and waiting. She's on a wait list for housing, for co-op housing, and that's probably going to be a couple of years. And her parents, she said, are living out of their van. That really hit me. And another a parent reached out to me, told me they're in one of the few affordable rental complexes here in Richmond right now with her and her family, and that complex is going to be redeveloped next year. They're going to have to find other housing, maybe uproot from where her kids are going to school, because all of the housing that's around them is at least $1,000 more a month than they're currently paying. And so housing and affordability in general is what I'm hearing the most about. Concerns for people wanting to be able to stay in the community they've either grown up in or they currently live in or work in, and housing is out of reach for people, even rental housing, good quality rental housing. The NDP plan to address housing and affordability in general, so people aren't choosing between paying for decent housing and paying for prescriptions, paying for a cell phone bill, paying for to see a dentist. So these are the kinds of things that are really on people's minds right now, as well as I think job security and being able to be able to take time off when they're sick and need the time off. So that all goes to being able to see some hope and being able to build feeling like you are able to have the opportunities to build a good life for yourself. And we need to be offering the supports for people in order for them to have that hope. Some of the platform that the NDP some of the commitments they're making, 500,000 units of affordable housing, that's non-market, co-op, other kinds of housing over 10 years. That's absolutely doable. And a couple of the strategies that I'm really in favor of, repurposing land that the federal government already has, working with community partners like school districts, like churches, with community groups who are really invested in creating affordable housing for their community rather than profit being their bottom line and being their priority. And there are ways to incentivize that, provide funds and expertise for community groups to take this on. That's a big piece, along with addressing things like supply and prices through tackling speculation, and also for purchasing, helping folks with mortgage by offering a longer mortgage term, 30-year mortgage terms, strategies like that. So these are absolutely doable, and we can do this and fund this when we stop funding fossil fuel subsidies, and also to banks as well. So we can divert those funds to this and to climate strategies, which, as you mentioned, is the other absolute imperative that we need to be taking much more determined action on.
She is the NDP candidate for Richmond Centre, Sandra Nixon. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a busy time for everybody right now. We appreciate you coming in to talk to us.
It's my pleasure to come in. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, continuing with our Richmond Centre riding and the candidates, joining us right now is Laura Gallanders. She's representing the Green Party. Laura, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You're quite welcome. Okay, same questions for everybody as we've been saying throughout the day. Let's start with a little background introduction to you for our readers/viewers.
Certainly, I am a Richmond resident. I'm a mother. I have 2 sons of my own and 2 stepsons who are older and live with us still. And I've been in Richmond for 16 years. My grandparents were immigrant farmers that came to Richmond in 1953 from Austria, and then they moved, and I grew up in Vancouver, but I came back to Richmond in 2006, and I'm actively involved in the community, and I just love Richmond.
Well, let's talk a bit about your activity in Richmond and what you support. I mean, part of the thing we're asking people today, of course, is why you are choosing to run for MP.
Well, it wouldn't be my first choice to have an election right now. I would have preferred to enjoy the rest of the summer with my kids and get ready to go back to school. I felt it was important for democracy to run in this election. I've always known I would get involved in politics at some point. I was involved in a really largely publicized battle with the city of Richmond over the massive house sizes on farmland. And I worked on that for 2 years until we finally succeeded and managed to get that problem under control. And since then, I was always prompted to stand up and use my voice and keep doing what's right for Richmond. Yeah, it just seemed like it seemed like a good opportunity to get the message out there that none of the other parties are doing enough for climate change and climate action, and to have that be the focus.
Certainly, climate change has been one of the issues that has come up throughout the day for me and talking to candidates such as yourself. Can you talk a bit about, of course you mentioned climate change, but talk about other issues in Richmond, specifically your riding, but also the city as a whole. Of course, it's ever growing. What are the main concerns for you right now as a candidate and what you'd like to put your attentions toward as an MP?
Certainly. Well, housing is a huge issue. In Richmond, the prices are out of control. We have a limited amount of land base that we can expand onto. A lot of our single-family neighborhoods are being occupied by large homes that are empty. So all of that space is being taken up. All the new developments are condo developments, which are mostly for investors.
Right.
Some of them are good for people to get into the market, for sure, but what we're really lacking is a lot of affordable family housing, so rental housing, market rental housing. You know, we need places for people to live. Like I said, I have 4 kids living with us in a small home, and one of them's 24, and he doesn't see where he can afford to move in Richmond, even though he makes good money where he's working, and he's a university graduate. So we really need to move forward on housing, and we can get more into that later and throughout the campaign. But so housing and climate change. Especially being in Richmond on a floodplain, we're very vulnerable to the sea level rise that we're going to be experiencing. We have so much to protect with the Fraser River, with our migratory birds that use the estuaries, and so we're vulnerable to further industrialization of the Fraser River. The things that we have to do to mitigate climate change in Richmond, such as raising up our dikes, causes us to clear cut large amount of trees. Right. So we're losing a lot of biodiversity and things that make it really special in Richmond. So climate change and housing are my 2 main issues.
Well, listen, we want to thank you for coming in today. It's a very busy time for all of you right now, so we appreciate the minutes you come in here to talk to the Richmond Sentinel and our viewers and our readers. It's Laura Gallanders. She is the Green Party candidate in Richmond Centre. Laura, thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're back here to wrap things up where we started, here at the Richmond Sentinel offices in the studio. I've enjoyed talking to the candidates as they want to make their way to Ottawa to represent you, the citizens of Richmond. We hope this has been a valuable tool for you to understand who they are and what's important to them. Don't forget, more information on the election and everything else that's Richmond in terms of news and stories, richmondsentinel.ca. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to Takuya, thanks to Florence, and thank you again for watching. I'm Jim Gordon.